I have never seen a player with such a big ego as Mbappe. Rooney's statement has gained even more weight over time, as Mbappe has been involved in disputes with coach Thomas Tuchel over being substituted, disagreements with Neymar and Messi, and even caused a major conflict with Real Madrid players and South American national teams. Surprisingly, he managed to convince the president of France to ask him to stay in the country, which granted him a certain power at PSG, both in signings and in the dismissal of certain players from the French club. After all this, Mbappe seems to be on the verge of leaving the club for free at the end of the season, this time leaving PSG fans, who have always supported him, and the club owner, who practically handed him control of the team, extremely outraged. Mbappe had already been a problematic young player since his time at Monaco, to the point where Monaco's organized supporters issued a statement due to the Frenchman's turbulent behavior behind the scenes. In his quest for an exorbitant contract renewal as a teenager who was still considered a promising talent, Mbappe provoked the ire of the ultras, who issued a note at the time: "We want to warn you, Mbappe, no one is above the institution of Monaco. We cannot tolerate one of our players with only a few dozen professional games demanding a contract with such astronomical values," the ultras warned. Tensions surrounding Mbappe at Monaco increased as the transfer window closure approached. He got involved in a series of controversies, including a fight during training with his teammate Andrea Raggi. As punishment, coach Leonardo Jardim even expelled him from training at the time. However, Mbappe refused to leave, resulting in an unusual decision. The rest of the team was forced to move to another training field to continue the session due to Mbappe's tantrum. At the time, it was unclear whether Mbappe's behavior was a deliberate attempt to force his exit from Monaco. However, it is notable that a few days after the incident, coincidentally or not, he was announced as a PSG player. At PSG, Mbappe's insistence on something childish ended up making him the most hated player in football. With Messi's arrival at PSG in 2021, rumors surfaced in the press that Mbappe had expressed a desire to leave the club to avoid sharing the spotlight with the Argentine. Indeed, in 2022, Mbappe was on the verge of signing with Real Madrid. Seeing this, PSG chose to offer him an astronomical contract renewal to keep him. Mbappe was quickly seduced by the offer and renewed, becoming the highest-paid player in the world. This caused great indignation among football fans and even Real Madrid players, as it went far beyond a simple contract renewal. Rumors at the time suggested that Mbappe had used Real Madrid's interest merely as a strategy to secure a better contract with PSG, in which he would have a certain power over club decisions. Following the contract renewal, several Real Madrid players posted photos showing the club's badge on social media, a clear indirect message to the forward Mbappe. Benzema, in particular, went further and made a post with a photo of the singer Tupac with a friend who was blamed for his murder, alluding to Mbappe's betrayal with Real Madrid. Mbappe decided to respond to the players' provocations and, in his speech, also attacked the Real Madrid board. According to him, the players' attitude was not something natural, but rather something that came from the club's executives. After the contract renewal, Mbappe became practically the owner of PSG, enjoying many privileges and power. He began to have a voice in recruitment decisions and privileged access to board information. Speculation arose that on the field, Mbappe would have fewer defensive obligations, focusing solely on his role of becoming the team's main star, even with Messi and Neymar in the squad. Mbappe's increased power became evident after the new contract, especially when the South American clique that existed in the club was dismantled. Players like Icardi, Paredes, and Di Maria, who were close to Neymar and Messi, were loaned out to other leagues, hinting at Mbappe's influence in this decision. The media outlet L'Équipe also highlighted the extreme dissatisfaction of the club's staff with the French star, partly due to his sudden mood swings in daily life. One day he arrives all smiling and greets everyone. The next day he arrives without saying a word and doesn't look at anyone, said a club employee. According to the newspaper, Neymar's recent like on a post only confirms all the rumors that have surfaced in the media. The post stated, "PSG hired the best players in the world, and when the team started to gel, the ego of a certain Frenchman began to disrupt the atmosphere. Mbappe began to feel out of place. Most of the squad spoke Spanish, and he threatened to leave the team. To avoid losing their darling, PSG began selling players who didn't align with Mbappe's thinking and brought in the French players he requested. Neymar's like only confirms what was happening behind the scenes. Indeed, the signings of Mbappe's favorites did occur. 3 French players were signed: Lucas Hernandez, Dembele, and Kolo Muani. Additionally, the sporting director Luis Campos, who coincidentally worked with Mbappe at Monaco, was also hired. L'Équipe also reported that Neymar, after his transfer to Saudi Arabia, organized a farewell party with several PSG players but did not invite Mbappe. In the national team, Mbappe also maintains his strong personality. This was evident when the player caused chaos behind the scenes of the national team days before the World Cup. The French national team players were scheduled for a photo shoot, but Mbappe simply refused to participate, fueling a long-standing feud he has with the French Federation. The reason? The star claimed that the French Federation exploits his image unfairly, more than any other player, and argued that he should have the right to choose which brands that sponsor the national team he could associate himself with. Certainly, the aspect of brands is something Mbappe takes very seriously. Recently, Mbappe has trademarked several brands that he considers to be his own, including his name, his crossed-arm celebration, and even phrases that he believes to be his. Those wishing to launch something with these brands will need to obtain permission from the players' team and pay for their use. The relationship between PSG and Mbappe has been full of ups and downs. In 158 games, Mbappe has been substituted only once before the 75th minute. Now this has happened for the second consecutive week in the last few games, with one of these occasions seeing him being substituted at halftime and not returning to the bench with his teammates. Instead, Mbappe went to watch the rest of the game in the stands with his mother, causing great irritation among fans, who already consider his departure to Real Madrid as certain. Ironically, after PSG has met all of Mbappe's demands, everything indicates that he will leave the club at the end of the season without any cost, even irritating PSG fans who have fervently supported him. In the last games of the French Championship, boos from the crowd towards Mbappe were heard, and a group of fans even raised a banner expressing the desire to see him out of PSG in June. The banner read, "K Mbappe, I can't wait for June 30th. It must be a challenge to keep the ego under control when the country's president asks you not to leave France for the good of the nation." Incredibly, he met with the president of France for the second time in an attempt to convince him to stay in the country. Now, I would like to hear your opinion. Do you believe that Mbappe's controversial behavior could compromise him in the future? Write it down in the comments, I want to know. Also, don't forget to leave your like, which helps us continue bringing new content like this. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss new videos. A big hug and see you next time.